Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another Extra Time U.S. Men's National Team Soccer podcast. It's Tim and Ryan here, the Greenberg brothers. I know that it's been quite a wait, and there's been a lot of downtime, but as promised, Ryan and I are just fans. We're just reporting on that when the men play in the games like that, there are lots of other quality YouTube channels out there that are reporting on what the men are doing abroad, here and there. One of them being Tactical Manager, and he actually just recently got featured in an ESPN article. So if you're not checking that out, check that stuff out. Ryan, it has been a while. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I am doing well. It's been busy. Obviously, we've been kind of waiting for this moment, and we're jumping into it here. Only a couple days after the announcement, the June roster is out, and the roster's a big deal because it's a roster for a couple different things. It's going to be a roster for our friendlies, and it's also going to be a roster for what we believe is going to be our Nations League games. Am I understanding that correctly?
I mean, they're in June, so if this is what we've got bringing into June, we've got the two friendlies coming up, June 1st, Morocco, June 5th, Uruguay, and then you've got the June 10th, we play Grenada in a CONCACAF Nations League game, and then the 14th, the U.S. plays El Salvador. Both the friendlies are in the U.S., and then the Nations League game is, the Grenada game is in the U.S., and then we play El Salvador in El Salvador.
Fair. That's fair. So before we sort of like dive in and start to, rip through this roster, let's take a step back to see how we got here. The United States scheduling two friendlies, like you just said, against Morocco and Uruguay, right? These are going to be really solid games to get us ready for the World Cup. There were a couple other nations that were sort of in there. I know Ghana was speculation that we might play a friendly against them. These are different than the friendlies that we've seen the U.S. play going into the World Cup prior to this. Last World Cup, I remember Bosnia-Herzegovina, and they had qualified. This year we had played against them, and they hadn't qualified. So we've kind of been all over the place. But this is good. In my lifetime, I think this is the best that we've put as far as friendlies to get ready for the World Cup. How do you feel about those two games?
The Morocco game is Morocco's a good team. They did not qualify, as everyone who probably is watching this will know, because you're interested in the World Cup draw. If you're interested in men's soccer, it's still going to be a good game.
Right. I mean, it's not unusual to see you schedule multiple, games against teams that did make it, but also games against teams that didn't make it.
Yeah, and you want to schedule games against teams that are going to give you enough of a challenge, but not be too rough on the players, because you don't want guys to get hurt in friendlies before the World Cup, but you do want them to get a good game in so they can stay in game shape and be ready for the World Cup, which is why I think you see Morocco first, then Uruguay, because Uruguay has qualified. So that is going to be a nice friendly, because both teams are going to be looking at guys and playing to keep guys in shape and be ready for the World Cup. But you also have to think, we have those Nations League games. June 14th is the last one. Our first World Cup game isn't until the 21st of November. That's 5 months after our last friendly, meaning there could easily be some other friendlies scheduled in there. Like you said, you could see the U.S. play Ghana. You could see the U.S. play Argentina. That's a team we've played friendlies against in the past. I don't think you'll see any of the teams that are in our bracket, or anyone we might play in the first knockout round if we make it.
No, I don't think so either. And the other big event that's happening in June for people who have been following is the final play-in games are going to happen. So
Correct.
All of the rest of the teams that are in those like wild card spots for the World Cup are going to play their games, and we're going to figure out who they are. So by the end of June, we're going to know if it's Wales, Scotland, or the Ukraine that we're going to be playing in. Obviously, when we previously had talked about this, everybody knows what's going on in the Ukraine. It's still going on in the Ukraine. And so we don't know. There hasn't been a lot of talk as to how much that's going to affect it. I haven't looked into it enough. I mean, I've literally done zero research into where the Ukraine men's soccer team is. But as we know right now, they're still going to be playing those games. So I am excited. I'm excited to see Morocco get played first, to see some guys get in there. I'm excited to see the Uruguay game after that. But obviously, we still got some weeks before all that stuff. We don't need to dive into it right now. Let's get into the roster. right? Because it sort of ties into a comment that you had just made about injuries, right? Greg Berhalter releases this roster, right? We could get into our gut reactions, right? I could sit here and tell you my gut reaction and how I felt, but I want to go at it differently, Ryan. When you saw this roster, you put yourself in Greg Berhalter's shoes. What's your goal? Why did you pick the players you picked?
So I think he's doing one of two things, or possibly doing both. He's looking for guys that are going to be able to travel with the team to the World Cup in case guys get hurt, because the roster for the World Cup is what, 20 guys?
I think it's a little bit less than 23. I think you got to drop down to 20.
Yeah.
I'll
So
fact
and
check
you're
that
only
right now.
and 11 guys play. You get 6 subs, meaning everyone's not going to play, period. But you're going to need guys there in case someone gets hurt. So like, what happens if?
So you get 23 players.
Yeah. So what happens if in like game 2 of qualify or the group stage, Timothy Weah goes down and he's not going to be able to play?
Yeah.
Right.
There's there's also speculation that because of Qatar, and this is an article from March 30th, that they could be increasing squad sizes to 26.
Yeah, because of the heat. I could see that.
Yep. Anyway,
but if someone like Timothy Weah or Serginho Dest go down in that first game or that second game and they're going to be out, you need someone who's going to have enough experience in playing in games that you know is going to be able to step up. So that being said, I do like seeing guys like Reggie Cannon, George Bello on the roster, Joe Scally, who has no starts for the U.S. men's team. He's got no caps. Mm-hmm. Let him get a game in. Let him get a couple games in. Like, he doesn't even have to play the whole game.
If you go back, you can go back in previous podcasts. I've mentioned that man a couple times. He was somebody who I really wanted to see in our friendlies window, because I really wanted him to earn a spot in that defending spot, especially since he can play the roles that Anthony Robinson and Serginho Dest play, and he's very good at them. And in case, like we've seen, injuries are rising, we're going to need guys to fill that depth.
Because as most people know, Miles Robinson ruptured his Achilles, and he is, as of right now, ruled out indefinitely. There are some articles I read that say if he undergoes a certain surgery, the recovery time is X amount of months, which would put him being able to come back at like early, middle November, which would put him being able to play in the World Cup. But that would be him coming back from a surgery, having not played soccer for 6 months.
Right, you don't know what his fitness is like,
and then just stepping right into the World Cup. So I don't see Berhalter doing that, even if he does get the surgery and is able to play. I don't think he plays.
No, I don't think so either.
So that being said, you need to find someone that can fill in and play next to Walker Zimmerman. So yeah, you've got DeAndre Yedlin, but Yedlin plays on the wing more, where Miles Robinson and Zimmerman play in the middle, and Anthony and Serginho Dest play on the wings. So give Joe Scally a chance. Give Reggie Cannon a chance. Cameron Vickers, give him a chance. Right? He's got 8 caps. Give him a chance. Let him play some games.
Is it Aaron Long that played? Aaron Long played alongside Walker Zimmerman too, right?
Yep. He's on the list too. He can get in there. But then you go to our midfield, and our midfield is prone to injuries. Like Tyler Adams has been hurt a couple of times. Weston McKennie is recovering from a broken foot.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So then you've got guys like Malik.
I know he's playing up front for us, but like he drops into that midfield spot. He's gotten hurt a bunch of times. Eunice Musa
honestly
was tweaking. He had like some knee issues going on.
I like Malik Tillman in there. He's got no caps. Get him a game in. Let him play 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm. And
game.
For people who haven't seen that, very recently, within these last, I want to say like the last day or two, he's actually confirmed that he's a dual citizen for Germany and the United States, and he's actually confirmed he's gonna pick the United States. So he has made his decision, and he is a Bayern Munich camp player who's going to be coming over to the United States, who has apparently been performing very well. He's been scoring goals. We'll get into him in a little bit, but just the sort of like preface to that, your little tidbit here. People are asking if he's our answer to the goal scoring drought.
He is coming over. He chose to play, and then I forget his name, but there is a goalie that has decided to play for the U.S. instead of Poland, and he's been playing in the MLS, and he's been performing very, very well.
Oh, yep. What is his name?
Solins or
Solzil.
something.
He might actually be one of the guys on this current roster.
He's not listed in the goalkeepers. Our goalkeepers are just Horvath, Stefan, and Turner.
But I think it's Gabriel Slonina.
Yes, and he has chosen to play for the U.S.
Yeah.
instead of Poland. But then you go to our midfield. Our midfield has seen injuries, so giving Malik Tillman a chance to play, giving I'm going to butcher his name, but like George Mihalovic, give him a chance to play some games. The only one on there that I'm like a little upset that I see is Christian Roldan. I don't know if you really need him to play to see how he is. I think putting like a Gio Reyna in there, who's been coming off of an injury and hasn't been playing all that much, putting him on there to get him in game shape, because there's no way that man doesn't make the roster.
Right.
Right. Gio Reyna's got to go with us. And to have him not in your June matches, meaning you either are confident in his game fitness level and he's going to be there, or you are planning more friendlies in the July, August, and you're going to throw them in on there and play them more in those so that they are more prepared for the World Cup. And then our forwards, other than Wright, I think that's a fine. Let those guys keep playing, because we need to find someone who can score goals. And I think leaving Aronson, Ferreira, Morris, Pulisic, Weah, Areola up there, just let them all keep playing. Let them all find a rhythm together. And hopefully one of them finds a way that they can start putting the ball in the back of the net and become our number 9.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's jump on over. I got a couple of the rosters pulled up. We'll jump on in here. We'll check out some of the rosters, and then we'll give a little bit better of a breakdown. We'll come over here. We'll take a look. This is the June roster that's come out, right? As we had talked about, Ryan's mentioning there are injuries, right? So if your gut reaction was probably a lot like me, you see a lot of guys on here again that are getting their first starts. Some of them maybe you're a fan of, right? Like I like seeing Joe Scally on here. Maybe others you're like, I've never heard of this player. Oh my goodness, what are we doing, right? But we got to step back. The United States has so many players hurt that when we take a look at some of these previous rosters, the reality is, who else were we going to play, right? If we go ahead and look at the injuries, right? Serginho Dest is hurt. Weston McKennie is hurt. Miles Robinson is hurt, right? Gio Reyna is hurt.
McKinney should be back for the June qualifiers, though, right. I believe.
It's going to be close, but like you're probably not looking at him at doing a whole lot other than maybe like filling like
30 minutes,
right? Or like
30 minutes.
Coming on as a sub. But I could also see him just training with the guys, and then not playing at all because they don't want to risk it, right? Reyna was ruled out of the rest of the season in April. So who knows what he looks like when he comes back, if he comes back into that. Chris Richards is out on defense. He's hurt. We've been struggling up front. So I like some of these things, and when I had time to digest this and look at it, I agreed with you, Ryan. I like that Berhalter is trying to find guys who can fit those spaces in case things don't go our way or in case we do need more depth. And when you look at some of these players, they have the ability to go that deep, right? Joe Scally is a very quality player. I like to see him up here. If you're not familiar with Haji Wright is scoring a ton of goals in the Turkish league. He's actually somebody I talked to Corey about. Our brother was stationed in Turkey until not that long ago. And he just was playing on fire over there. Is it a different league than some of the other Premier Leagues? Yes. Is he still in the top division? Yes. Who knows what that translates to? Either way, he has the confidence to put the ball in the back of the net. Jesus Ferreira sort of been hit or miss in the MLS, right? He's had games where he scored tons of goals. He's had games where he hasn't. We've talked about Malik Tillman coming in here and making his. Is there any other players that I'm missing as their first one? Those are the three, right? So Malik is coming in his first one, Haji, and then Joe Scally. Everybody else, they've had caps for us. Some of them as far, as 3 with Eric Palmer Brown. And then I think we got George Bello with 6 and Cameron Carter-Vickers with 8. Everybody else, I mean, that's actually not that small of a number when you consider Jesus Ferreira only has 9 caps, right? And just been on the roster that long. Let's compare. So I'll do what I said. Let's compare this to, we'll back up just to the January window, right? So here's what our January window looks like. right? Players like we had the differences, right? So we have Reggie Cannon on this list. We had Brooks Lennon on this list. I'm not going to try to name the injured guys. Slania's on this list. Sean Johnson's on this list. Then you got players like Josh Zardes who has come off, Ricardo Pepi who's come off, Sebastian Lletget who's come off, right?
We want to talk about that guy,
right? And then again, just backing up again, we're just sort of just running through this all the way back to March, right? I don't really think it's worth going previous to March because that's just so long ago. But Palmer Brown was on it. James Sands, somebody who we haven't seen since then. Reggie Cannon was still on there getting chances. Luca Del Torre kind of did his roller coaster thing. That was back when Reyna was still on it. So a lot of the same names, right? If we go to compare this side by side to what we're seeing now, and I'll see if I can get you. I'll try to give us like a real quick side by side thing here, with just a
June camp. Berhalter has said that during the June window, he wants to experiment with a 3-person back line so that the guys are used to playing it so that if needed, they can bust it out in the World Cup to, maybe take a team by surprise or get a little extra guys going forward if you need to score a goal. So you may see that could be another reason for certain guys on the roster because he might be thinking, well, yeah, this guy works, but is he going to work in a 3-back?
Right. Exactly. And one of the things that's changed a lot since we've done our prediction video is some of these big name players for these countries have had huge games, right? If you have not been watching, right? Benzema is playing. I mean, he had the most unreal Champions League season that we've seen in a long time from tons of players, right? I look up and see that I had myself beating France, and I immediately was like, there's absolutely no shot, right? So that being said, when you look at some of these players, you're absolutely right. Greg Berhalter has to figure out, can we adapt to play against different strategies of teams? And
it's got to throw curveballs.
Correct. And sort of exactly. It's time to get serious, right?
Mm-hmm.
We talked about this during the CONCACAF things, right? We had a lot of media hating on the United States. They were talking about how it wasn't going to add up, and you and I were pretty adamant. Greg Berhalter wasn't trying to add up, right? He wasn't trying to make it look like World Cup soccer. He was just trying to get the job done. The job is done. Qualifying is behind us, right?
Now he's making it look serious.
Exactly. And let's look at a bigger picture. We're hosting the next World Cup, okay? So
correct.
For all intents and purposes, qualifying is done. There's no need for the United States to cater to any style of soccer that is not World Cup level caliber soccer. And on that note, top 16 soccer, right?
Yeah.
We're getting out of the...
For anyone looking at the June roster and going, well, why is Ricardo Pepi not on there? Because I was talking about let's let those forwards keep playing so that they can try to score some goals. Ricardo Pepi has not scored a goal for the men's team or his club team since the October qualifying game against Jamaica for the U.S. men's team.
Right, and as a striker,
that is 7.5 months since Ricardo Pepi has put the ball in the back of the net.
Right.
I don't care if you like the guy. I think he's a good young player. You can't do that.
Right. We'll come back to him next year, right? We'll come back to him when the World Cup's over. We'll see if he
goes with us to the World Cup, that's fine because he's been playing a lot of games. But we need someone more consistent who's not going to have 7-month droughts of I can't find the net.
Right. But okay, so looking at the June roster, how many of the players on this June roster do you believe are going to fall off come the World Cup? Right? So how many of the guys on this roster, I'll ask it in a different way so people know why I'm asking it, are here to help us get the experience and get some of these young guys just be their mentors during boot camp, right? Like I'm looking at guys like Paul Areola. I'm looking at guys like Christian Roldan. How many of those guys do you think are not going to travel with us to the World Cup and we're going to see those young guys like Pepi join the squad again?
I think for our strikers, I think you see everyone that's on that list except Wright. I don't think we see Haji Wright go unless he really, really shows something spectacular in these friendlies and possibly the Nations League games. I see that one being swapped out for Ricardo Pepe just because he's used to playing with the guys. But that being said, Ricardo Pepe is really, really in a slump. So I don't think Haji Wright has to do much.
Mm.
I think if he comes into the friendlies and gets himself in dangerous positions and has shots on goal and scores a goal, maybe two, I think all of the forwards on that list go.
Do you see Christian Roldan traveling with us?
No, I do not see Christian Roldan traveling. But that being said, he is playing pretty outstandingly in the MLS right now for Seattle. He's had a couple really nice goals from 25, 30 yards out, which is something the U.S. doesn't do much of.
Mm-hmm.
So having someone in the midfield who's confident to take those shots could be big come the World Cup stage, because we've seen a lot of World Cup goals that are world class, maybe the best goal of the tournament that gets scored from 25, 30 yards out. I remember the one, I forget his name, but he played for Australia. It was Tim something.
Oh, Timmy Cahill?
Yeah, he received a ball over his shoulder
Oh
and
my
one-timed it.
gosh.
And it's from like 30 yards out. And
Bro.
I'm not saying Christian Roldan can do that, because I don't think anyone can do that. And even watching him do that in the World Cup, I still don't believe it's possible.
It was unreal,
But
that goal. If you haven't seen that goal, you got to look that up. You got to look up Timmy Cahill's goal. That guy, I mean, I think the guy struck him that ball from probably
Like,
40 yards, and it
yes.
dropped. I'm talking like right here. If you see it dropped, it literally dropped over his shoulder, and he just struck it first time. So
Yes.
it wasn't like it came across the field, right? So he wasn't hitting a volley that he could see coming. He was running forward, and the ball dropped over his shoulder, and he hit it with the opposite foot. It's unreal. Like, do
Yeah,
yourself a favor, pause our video right now, go YouTube that, watch that video, take a second to just soak in that, and then come back and push play.
So I could easily see Christian Roldan traveling for that reason, because you need guys who are confident in shooting from there. I think Weston McKennie has that confidence. It'll be interesting to see when he comes back with his foot, if he still has that confidence. But then you've got guys like, it'd be interesting to see if Tillman takes shots from out there. But when you look at all the other guys, Tyler Adams isn't big on shooting. Luca De La Torre, as much as I love watching him play, he's more controlling the ball than he is at striking. He likes to. There were a couple of times where I was very upset because he elected to pass instead of shoot.
But you know who he pairs really well with? Timothy Weah.
Yes.
He pairs really well with Weah because you're right, he likes to play that flat ball through the back and push one of our strikers in deep. And when we saw him play, he played a little bit with Timothy Weah, but we saw him play a lot more with Aaron Long overlapping him. And what was the other guy? Like we had like Pepe or Ferreira up front. So it was like, or no, Morris. And so we didn't get to see a lot of like his uniqueness and his threat that he can create.
Watching the games that De La Torre plays, he seems to be more of a playmaker, more of the number 10 position without being a number 10. So again, doesn't like to shoot from out long. Kellen Acosta, great services. I really like. I think if he is on the field, he should be taking our set pieces over Christian Pulisic, because I believe Pulisic is more dangerous as a goal scoring threat, and having him take your services eliminates him from the goal scoring opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, he can play the ball very well. He knows what he's doing, but I think having a ball land at the top of the box to him is much more deadly than having a ball land at the top of the box to Kellen Acosta.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
So when you look at midfielders, other than Roldan and Weston McKennie, I don't see any guys in there. Now, obviously, I don't know about Tillman. He hasn't played a game for the men's team. I don't know enough about Mihalovic because he's only played 6 games, but he's got a goal. Mm-hmm. So it'll be interesting to see if when these guys play, if they have this mentality of,
I'm pretty sure
he
scored in like the Nations League, but over a year ago. I want to say like we played a bunch of like Nations League friendlies in like the first round, and I think he got the start. It was like we were playing like our B/C team in like a friendly that you and I wouldn't have watched at that moment. I think that's when he got his goal.
Because if those guys shoot the ball, if Tillman and George like to shoot the ball from outside the box and they have pretty decent attempts and they get shots on goal, I could see Roldan not traveling. But he's got 31 caps. So he brings that level of experience. But that being said, you've got Weston McKennie with 31 caps, and you've got Kellen Acosta with 51. So do you really need Christian Roldan for the experience
Right.
to help settle guys down when you've got someone like DeAndre Yedlin on defense with 70+ caps?
Right, and you're
And
also
Christian
looking at like
Pulisic
you need a spot
up
for
front.
you need a spot for Giovanni Reina. Let's look through. We still got the rosters pulled up. Some of the players that we were hoping to see on this list that we don't see on this list, right? You and I are both big fans of Gianluca Buzio, right?
Yes.
Gianluca Buzio's not on this list. Obviously, most of the players that I was hoping to see on this list are all injured, so there's not a whole lot else to say there. I think like Gianluca Buzio is like the big one that you and I were both hoping to see. I'm happy to not see like Jordan Pefok, right? I just haven't been super impressed with him. I also haven't really been that impressed with Yunus Musa, and I'm expecting to see Musa and Adams and De La Torre play in the midfield, or Kellen Acosta, and who knows what that's going to look like.
Yes.
I'm hoping that Malik Tillman gets a pretty decent set of playing time, just because we haven't seen him play. I'm hoping Joe Scally gets a start on the right back over somebody like DeAndre Yedlin. I'd love to see our Morocco game be like a George Bello, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Eric Palmer-Brown, and Joe Scally as our four backs. Obviously, we know U.S. history. We probably are going to see Walker Zimmerman in there just to give them some kind of shape. But
you might even see DeAndre Yedlin instead of Walker Zimmerman. You could see George Bello, Eric Palmer-Brown, and Aaron Long, and then you could see a DeAndre Yedlin on the wing, and Yedlin with the age and the experience holding the back together.
Mm-hmm. Now, getting away from the rosters a little bit, right? For people who might be looking at this and wondering what in the world is going on, right? When you play for your national team, there's windows where your camp comes together and you don't get a whole lot of time. So things that coaches are looking at is coaches are working on like synergy, chemistry, giving guys a chance to play together, but really just seeing who plays well together.
Yes.
And one of the things that Greg Berhalter and his squad have announced time and time again that they're doing, and you can love it, you can hate it, it's not going to change what he does. They constantly are watching players overseas. So one of the things that you see, and again, love it or hate it, is guys like Haji Wright, guys like Malik Tillman, guys like Mihailovic, guys like Scally, when they get hot, all of a sudden U.S. Soccer wants to kind of reach out and just like pluck them for a second, right? Like we're making like a stew, but we're not really sure what we want to season it with yet, and we're just trying stuff. And it's like Berhalter heard somebody say, "Hey, have you tried this Tillman? It's pretty good," and he sprinkles a little bit in there, right? So
and you see the same thing the other way with like Ricardo Pepe not making the roster because he's been doing nothing, and Berhalter wants to go, well, if he's doing nothing there, let's try a guy like Haji Wright who's doing well. We'll throw him in there, take Pepe out, and see how it works.
Mm-hmm. With end of the season stuff, I know this is like not a segue at all. Premier League stuff has completely wrapped up. Fulham has been promoted, so we're gonna see Tim Ream and Miles Robinson in the Premier League next year, right?
Wait, Anthony? Is Anthony on Fulham?
No, sorry, Miles is it's Miles, right?
Miles Robinson plays in MLS.
is Atlanta. He plays at Atlanta. You're right.
Yeah.
Anthony Robinson plays overseas. Sorry.
Yeah.
I got him confused. Gianluca Buzio's team got relegated.
Correct.
Which, who knows? I'm hoping that means he gets a transfer somewhere. Obviously, like all those windows are up in the air. If you want to know more about it, like I said, Tactical Manager covers that a lot. But then another thing going into the end of the year, this is big for me because I'm full of myself sometimes. John Brooks is not going to play for the U.S. Okay, I'm going to say that one more time. If you like John Brooks and you didn't believe us, he's not going to play for the U.S. I have finally read articles that have said John Brooks' last opportunity, his last window, his last game for the U.S. Soccer has come and gone. Right? He has been left out of these windows time and time again. Greg Berhalter has not given any inclination that he's going to bring him along when it comes to the World Cup. And he's now a free agent. He's on whatever that term is. His contract is up for, I think it's Augsburg is where he's playing. So I just can't imagine we're going to see him again, even with all the injuries, especially if these are the defenders that we're seeing now.
Yeah.
But that being said, Rosters are looking pretty good. I'm excited to see what we're doing. Obviously, you're going to want to follow the players, right? Because the players who are in form, like we just saw, like Karim Benzema, he doesn't need to be at a French camp with his players to be studs, right? He's playing out of his mind for Real Madrid of his own accord. So
Yeah, just let him go.
that's right. Just let him go. And the last thing that we got to talk about here.
Yeah, you know what's not good?
It's not good at all. Ryan,
Is
what is
whatever the disastrous decision Nike made for the U.S. Men's World Cup jerseys. Because holy crap, I hated the Where's Waldo jerseys. I hated them. And for anyone who doesn't know that, just Google Waldo U.S. Men's National Team jerseys and look at them. It's just red and white stripes. And I hated them. And God liked those over the ones that Nike just gave out.
I don't know, man. I'm a pretty big fan of this. Not the jerseys you're talking about. I was a fan of the Where's Waldo jerseys. I got to be honest. I really liked them. I thought they were great. It's unfortunately one of the only jerseys I don't own, though, which is kind of sad. You guys can judge me for editing this literally on the fly while we're doing this. I really don't care. I just didn't want to go back and edit this afterwards. The jerseys, you got to Google them. They're pretty bad. I'm really hoping they're just like a practice jersey. It's literally a white shirt that just says U.S. Soccer.
From everything I have read so far, like it looks like those are the jerseys.
I mean, it's more boring than this guy. Like it's pretty boring.
And I get that when you look at most countries have a default World Cup jersey.
Hold on,
look at Argentina.
It's in here. It's in our Discord. Let me find it because it's
Argentina's got their normal blue and their white.
All right, can we see this?
Brazil's got their yellow and green.
Yeah, everybody can see this. There it is.
Like Brazil's got their yellow and green. Yeah, everyone's got their traditional World Cup jerseys. The U.S. men don't. Every year it is different. Every World Cup, the men's team goes in with a different set of jerseys. And I do not have any idea who thought this was a good idea.
So you're telling me like you're not loving this at all, huh?
No, I hate all of it. And no one likes it. You can go on Twitter and just read about it. Like some of the biggest comments on Twitter, we've got someone tweeting, "No, these aren't real," right? You got someone tweeting, "The stress during qualifying was not worth these." You got someone saying, "If these are real, go back to the drawing board. This is the biggest stage for flashy American design." You got people that are like, "Nike doesn't care. They just took the same template and changed the color." Right?
They look like practice jerseys, right? I mean, everybody can see this. This looks like a practice jersey.
People are like, "Good Lord, bring back the Waldo jerseys."
It's just not. I couldn't even. This looks like a bad goalkeeper jersey. I really hope this isn't our kit. I'll be honest. I'm gonna be honest.
So
I really hope.
From everything I have read, this is the final draft of our 2022 home and away jerseys from Nike. And I put final drafts in quotes because obviously it could change with enough backlash. But as of right now, this is what they proposed final drafts are. And this would also be for the women, not just the men. This is also the women. Gotcha. If the women make the World Cup for theirs. I mean, this is what they would have.
I'd have to believe they're going to do it.
Yeah, this is what they would have. This white nothing and this blue nothing that just has Nike logo slapped all over it.
You know what stinks? Like, look at the jerseys you and I are repping. I mean, I understand they're probably not getting better than this, right? This is my favorite jersey that we've had. I love.
They're fantastic.
They're unreal. Like it feels good to have something because it's unique, right? It's like it's just super unique. They put a lot of creativity to it. I didn't mind this one, the one over my shoulder here, right, with the white bar across the chest. I thought that was fun.
I don't mind the one right behind you either.
Yeah, this one was good. I mean, I got like a white one laying on the floor back here. Is it here? Is it this?
Because at least the colors slightly change on that one.
Like we got this one. This is the Donovan one. I mean, again,
that one's not much, but it's got something to it.
It's just got the red stripes on it, right? Imagine this jersey with no stripes. They just take the Nike logo off too. Just take the U.S. Soccer logo off. Let's just play in white shirts. At this point, let's just put a collar on them. Just put a collar on it. We'll just wear polos. Just wear collared polos. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Yep, it's a nightmare. And And I really hope that's not what they're wearing. I really hope that's just like they threw that out there to see what people
I hope
thought,
it's just
and
their.
they're gonna
I hope it's
make
just their
some changes.
practice. I mean, it's a leak, right? So like the good news is maybe it's just somebody got a hold of like a kit on Nike, and it's actually like the U.S. team's like practice jerseys, and they're just like, oh, I found the new kit. I got to share it on Reddit. We know how Reddit goes.
Yeah,
But
we'll
anyway,
see.
we'll see. So you guys are obviously going to start seeing a lot more of us. It felt good to be back. It's good to discuss this. We're going to be back next week. Again, another shorter video, just a preview of the games to come. But then you're going to get some of our longer videos. We'll give you some in-depth stuff. We'll give you this. Other
There's a
YouTube
chance
channels.
we're at that. There's a chance we are
Right,
at
there's
that
a
first
chance we're at that
friendly.
Cincinnati game. I'm excited. I love actually. I talked about Tactical Manager a lot. He went through. He's got a nice video about all the different venues for the upcoming World Cup in the United States and Canada, and which ones they're going to pick. And when he announced the Cincinnati one, he said U.S. Soccer's girlfriend, because Ohio is U.S. Soccer's girlfriend. We play a lot of games here. I'm not complaining, but like Ryan and I said, we're going to focus a lot more on like the eye test, right? We can show you numbers, we can show you stats, but if you really want all that stuff, Tactical Manager does a great job. He goes through, he'll talk about passes completed, air duels won, percentage of all that other stuff. It's great information. He's got a lot of it. We're just going to focus on all the eye test stuff, but that's going to do it for us here at this podcast. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Ryan, you got any last thoughts?
No, I'm excited to see what this camp can do in these friendlies and Nations League games. It'll be nice to see some new guys, some new faces get some playing time, and let's hope some guys can start putting the ball in the back of the net for us.
Agreed. Well, we'll be back next week. We'll give you guys a preview. We appreciate you guys tuning in to this podcast. We'll catch you guys next week.